Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Trinidad, Los Animas County's Chamber of Commerce Meet the Candidate Program. We're at beautiful Masari Theater at Trinidad State. I'm Lee Phelan, Chamber President and CEO, and I'll be your host for this evening's event. We are living in a time of great trials and tribulations, a critical time in the Republic's history, and in the midst of a COVID-19 pandemic. Communities and small businesses are facing real survival challenges, and sadly, many are simply government-made interferences, not just pandemic matters. As our nation begins to see the light at the end of the tunnel of this pandemic, focus has reopened on critical matters that the people will have to contemplate and decide how to best move the community forward. Tonight, together, we will visit each of the vital election and topics surrounding this year's voting cycle. The position of mayor for the great city of Trinidad, the at-large positions for the city council, and lastly, but not unimportant, the school board positions. The state has 3 critical referendums, and the county has 1 on the ballot, and the chamber has not responded in its assessment to those ballot questions. We hope to address those issues by next week, posting our determinations on our social media site. I'm joined tonight by the technical cast of the Trinidad Times Television, TV 71, and KCRT Radio, broadcasting this event to help make our electorate knowledgeable of the candidates and the hot topics impacting our community. We are very grateful for their commitment and service to our community. Our YouTube broadcast this evening is live, and the Comcast will be rebroadcasted over the weekend. For those of you that need to access it on YouTube, it's Trinidad Times TV 71. Mr. Tom Murphy, who has dedicated a lifetime to the Trinidad community, serving its best interest, and now, in addition to his Murphy Funeral Home business, is taking the time to aid in these televised events, and we appreciate his assistance. Phillips Broadcasting has for more than a generation filled the local airways with news, music, advertisements, and opinion, all designated to keep the public entertained and informed, and we are thankful for their participation. Tonight I'm joined with a few assistants. I have William Phillips, a board director. He will be our timekeeper, and Ms. Amy Navarrete, our office manager, who will provide operational assistance. Together we are joined by an in-person and online audience. We appreciate you for your tuning in and aiding in the discussion. Please submit your questions to chamber@tlacchamber.org. Our in-house audience may fill out the 5x8 cards, and those cards are on the table outside. If you simply hold it up, a runner will collect them, and while our time is limited this evening, we will consolidate all questions for candidates to respond to, and we will post those answers as received on our social media site. Without further delay, let's begin with the rules. Each participant will be allowed a brief 4-minute opening statement, followed by panel questioning. And for the sake of time, we limited responses to 2 minutes and asked our participants to keep their answers succinct and to stay on topic, closing each segment with a 4-minute closing statement from each candidate. We will start this evening with the important mayor candidates, and we are pleased to have with us tonight the incumbent candidate, the Honorable Mayor, Mr. Phil Rico, with his challengers, Mr. Rusty Goodall and Mr. Pat Hallett. Mr. Goodall had informed us earlier he will be on vacation and will not be available for participation in tonight's event. The position of mayor in Trinidad is a critical position. Trinidad is the primary southern gateway into southern Colorado, along with the Eastern Front Range. It plays a vitally important role in the state and county, in addition to its own crucial municipal functions. The growing tourism, the reopened New Elk mining processing, and the addition of the Fisher's Peak State Park to the portfolio of the many pre-existing state and city parks now places this community in a unique position for potential growth and rapid prosperity. Yet, there are many hurdles for the community and business that they face. With the COVID-19 pandemic, forced closures, lack of small business funding, all the way to the everyday struggles new businesses face in starting a business. Tonight leaves us with a unique one-on-one candidate opportunity debate, allowing a unique opportunity for both candidates to have time to address every question our panel has time for. So let's begin. Mr. Mayor, as the incumbent, may we have your opening statement.
Thank you, Mr. Freeman. And thank you to the audience and the chamber for tonight's event, and also for TSJC for the venue. 6 years ago, when I decided to run for mayor, I recognized the need for change. Change can be difficult, but it is inevitable. To change, you must be willing to take a risk. Risks create challenges and at the same time, opportunity. 2020 and 2021, COVID-19 has given us challenges unimagined in the education system, employment, and working from home, illness, and in some cases, death. Even though COVID-19 has created havoc, there are a couple of bright spots. Families have been able to experience a closeness of family life that has been missing in many families, and many are taking the time to experience the great outdoors. Trinidad is changing, and as challenges arise, so do opportunities. I will cover the opportunities in my closing statement. Locally, we have weathered ups and downs economically. Agriculture, mining, and the gas industries are still a mainstay. Cannabis has provided us with an influx of revenue that was badly needed, but is now being challenged with the ballot issue number 119 and New Mexico approving the sale of cannabis. I recognize that while we still have these industries, we must diversify our economy even more. My vision is to provide sustainable industry and to continue to create quality of life for the citizens of Trinidad. The Space Creek project will attract tourists to our downtown area to see our historic buildings. Many are getting renovated through public and private partnerships. The Fisher's Creek project, which is now the 42nd State Park in Colorado, has created a huge opportunity for the area, bringing upwards of 50,000 tourists when it is completely open, and revenue of $13 million according to a Colorado University study. These projects will provide clean and sustainable industries. Even though we have good opportunities, we still have some major challenges: an aging infrastructure, homelessness, and crime, to name a few. Our infrastructure will take tens of millions of dollars and time in the future. We will continue to make investments in infrastructure as funds become available through our budgeting process. Homelessness is very difficult because many homeless prefer that lifestyle, and they also have constitutional rights. It is difficult to reach those that want help. Crime is hard to contain. Drugs such as meth, opioids, and heroin are extremely addictive, and users will go to any lengths to get their fix. Stealing vehicles and break-ins are prevalent. I ask the citizens of Trinidad to be cognizant of crimes being committed. We are part of the solution by reporting to the police. Our police force continues to do the best job they possibly can. We cannot and will not forget our senior citizens that have helped build Trinidad. Trinidad is a beautiful community and is the rising star of communities in the state of Colorado. The future looks bright despite the challenges that we face. I, City Council, and staff are working hard on your behalf to create a resilient community. These opportunities and challenges require action, and together as a community, we can and will persevere in our endeavors. We must all work together. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Allen, may we have your opening statement?
Hi, everyone. Online and here. My name's Pat. It's a real pleasure to be here. I really appreciate the Chamber for putting this together. It helps us all. And for everybody investing some time in being here to make your decision November 2nd. Again, my name's Pat. There's going to be questions here, questions online, questions that are submitted to the Chamber, and then certainly ask us both individually questions that you have. But they're going to fall into three categories. And those three categories basically come into who are you, why are you running, and what will you do? And so all these things come in. Now, the first two are rather easy, okay? Who are you, and why are you running? So to kind of give you a little background on the first, because I know a lot of people, but I don't know everyone, and I look forward to meeting more. But mine's Pat. I'm a localist. I've been married 37 years. I have 4 children, 6 grandchildren. This 6 just joined us 2 weeks ago. So we're happy. I'm a brother of 6. I spent 14 years in the Air Force, 35 years as a small business owner. I'm the current president of the Trinidad Kiwanis Club, nearing our 100th anniversary here soon. What a great organization, working with our youth. I'm the past chairman of the TSC Trails Committee. I sit on the board of the Friends of TSC Foundation, gunsmithing trails, those kind of cool robotics, those things fall underneath that. So really happy to work with our college, and I find that to be an asset that actually could be an economic engine. And so I look forward to, no matter Phil or I look forward to working a lot closer with the college. I'm a former Fraser, Colorado councilman and mayor. Fraser, if you don't know, is right next to about a mile from Winter Park. People ski in Winter Park, but they sleep in Fraser. We're 1,500 people on a Wednesday and about 75,000 people on a Saturday. So I know a little bit about outdoor recreation, and I really know kind of how that changes and transforms a community. And so with me, I have a sense of urgency. I was on the Fraser Valley Chamber of Commerce there. That's why I'm such a fan of the Chamber and what they do for 15 years, and 12 years with the Fraser Valley Lions Club. So that's a little bit of family, personal, professional, community, political stuff. So the next question, why am I running? I really don't like politics, but local isn't bad. And I've never seen Phil be in that before. He loves his community and has done amazing things. So why am I running? I also love the community. I picked this place out of all other places in Colorado to live. Set up my home, set up the rest of my life, bring my family. My son lives here. My other 2 sons and family are in the Navy. They'll retire in a couple of years and they'll be here. And so when I said there's a couple of us and then there's 6 grandkids, maybe there'll be a whole bunch of Howlets running around doing great things in Trinidad, like your kids. I love the history of this place. I don't think you can be here for very long without it touching you and actually hitting you really strong, that you may be able to be part of that. I also know the trials and tribulations, as the mayor said, that we've had, but there's some really strong people here, and we noticed that through COVID. However, we're behind in many areas, and I believe that I can bring a style of leadership that will cause a sense of community to have an urgency and help us attack some of the baseline community challenges. And I believe I have the experience in both housing and outdoor recreation economies to move that forward and look for those questions there. What will I do? Number one thing, attack the housing problem. Move forward faster on rewriting and updating Chapter 14. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you both. And so as we continue to gather information from our in-house and online audience, I'd like to formulate the first question of the evening, sort of kind of set the mood, if you don't mind, gentlemen. Trinidad has played a vital role in the American West and in the development of the state since the pioneers first crossed the Santa Fe Trail. It has served as a refueling point, a layover, an industrial center, and home for literally hundreds of thousands of people over the generations. Yet, when you compare Trinidad to other gateways into Colorado, this community seems to struggle and lag behind in the development of necessary infrastructure, affordable housing, and even in this day of technology, a lack of high-speed internet. It collects many taxes. Amongst these are the capitalization fund, the added taxes from the marijuana sales, and other such levies. And while some capital improvements are occurring, it seems they come at the bequest of needless lawsuits and intimidations that typically cost local citizens wasted time and added revenues. The position of mayor represents but a fraction of the council vote, but it is the figurative leader of the council. It has a major hand in setting the direction, the vision of the council agenda. The question is, what is your vision for the Trinidad community during the next term of office? And what opportunities for small business growth do you foresee, Mr. Mayor?
The small business, of course, is the lifeline of any community, and of course the state and the entire country. So we need to be able to open ourselves up to availability. We need to create opportunity. And by creating opportunity, one of the things that you mentioned is our infrastructure. Our infrastructure currently, we know, is aging. And it will cost, with the estimations, around $100 million just to upgrade our infrastructure. You talked about technology, and that is something that I'm going to cover in my closing statement. As far as broadband goes, I think that's going to be what I call the cog in the wheel if we are going to attract what I would call the millennials and the people that are looking for a quality of life and wanting to move to a small community. So my vision is to continue to look forward and reach out to communities and find other economic opportunities that we desperately need. We have been behind, I understand, in many ways, because things have not been in many years ago, but we are bringing down, we are gaining ground at this point in time. And it's going, when it started several years ago, it took a downturn, and it's going to take some time to get to where we were before. But I will continue to encourage council and this community to look forward and to try to find ways to increase our economic diversity.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, an economy, there's several pieces of that. So we have a cannabis economy. Things are changing with that. We'll adapt to that. Okay, there are many opportunities that are in there. We have an outdoor recreation economy. That's just starting, but if you were in town or anywhere in the area this past weekend, you saw a glimpse of what that's going to be. And so that's the kind of opportunities we have. We have a creative class and creative arts economy. And I think there's incredible opportunities there. And then we have the locally owned business economy. Now, I'm actually very positive that we'll be able to move and actually nurture those different segments, irrespective of what's happening in New Mexico. There's opportunity for us, and there's opportunity for New Mexico. And I look forward to the folks south of us actually improving their lives as well. As to broadband, I was the internet service provider for a big chunk of Colorado for 13 years. So I have an intimate knowledge and experience in broadband, fiber, DSL, etc. So one of the things I think we need to look at is housing actually will really be the thing that affects the economy. We have a big employer ready, willing, and able that's in the area playing good jobs that are historically known in this area that we're known for, and they're unable to do that. So they're at roadway end. What we need to do is open up the diversity and the amount of housing we can have, because when we do that, we'll have affordable housing, we'll have co-housing, we'll have housing for folks that are here. And the most important thing for me is taking care of the people that are here right now. The others are coming. And let me tell you, as a person who's in Fraser, that saw them come, we're way behind the scenarios. But I will say the last thing, I'm proud of the mayor and the council and what they've been doing with the limited resources they've had. I'm proud of that group. So I just need to say a big shout out to the folks that are serving on the council, the mayor, and the city staff. Thank you.
Thank you. Gentlemen, today's topics of critical race theory, removal of the Second Amendment rights of citizens, removal of individual private property rights, like what the government controls of rent, and the constant bombardment of COVID-19 mandates on persons and business has torn this nation in two. What's your stance on these matters and its effects on the community? I'll start with Pat first.
Well, first of all, that's going to be a personal question because it's outside the scope of being a mayor. It's not in that wheelhouse. And what you'll find from me is the staff with the city, the council, they'll actually have I'm not a micromanager. So what I'm going to say right now is my personal opinion because I think I need to stay in my lane were I to be mayor. We've got a lot of challenges and a lot of opportunities. I think you just care for people, personally. I think if I wear a mask, I have one in my pocket. I got both my shots. It's not a political argument with me. It's not a matter of rights. I think it was something to do. I think in the national scene and the state scene, I think they have a harder challenge there. There's too much divisiveness in politics right now. There's too much hate on two sides. And so what I actually think is there's ways to work through the mayor, the council, the chamber, our social services activities. There's ways to bring a whole collective and collaborative group together to solve and communicate some of these things. My biggest challenge sometimes with the government and with things here is just lack of communication. So I think you communicate better. But I'm just going to say, if you've made decisions on your risk analysis that match you and where you are, I understand and respect that. We may just disagree. Thank you.
This past 19 months has been difficult for all of us. And we have all had to make decisions that we don't want to make. Unfortunately, like I mentioned earlier, COVID has created a lot of concern within not only our community, the state, and country, and the entire world. A lot of death associated with this. We must take responsibility for myself. I have to take responsibility for myself. I also need to take responsibility for Pat by wearing a mask. So these are responsibilities that we all must face. And it's not this whole thing of racial equality and all this. It is not in my wheelhouse. My wheelhouse is taking care and seeing that this community is a thriving community. So I really believe that we just need to be neighbors. We need to try to help one another. We need to wake up in the morning, see our neighbors, say good morning. We need to see people on the street, say thank you, good morning to you. How are you today? Thank you for the services that you provide. We in this community don't really have, I think, some of that racial issues that so many other parts of the state and the country feel and are seeing today. So I just believe that we are in a little different position than many other parts of this state and the country.
Thank you both. Next question. Do you support local law enforcement, and would you ever vote to defund the police?
You know, I've been asked that question, and that question is ridiculous. First of all, this is the thing that I don't really know who really understands policing and the funding of policing. The city of Trinidad, we fund our police department entirely. We do not get funding from the state or the federal government for our police department, other than through grants. We've never been restricted from some of the funding that we are getting. We fund a lot of our department, our police department, through some of our cannabis money by updating their equipment, their vehicles. But no, as far as defunding the police, no. Absolutely not.
We concur. In a civil society, there are rules and consequences, and that's what makes it kind of a civil society. And so, no, I'm against that. If I would say, though, I think we need to help our police a little bit more. I may very well be for more funding for police in certain areas, not the defunding things. I think sometimes we send our law enforcement officers into situations where they may not be the very best advocate for the civil society. And so I think there's opportunities in the police force for it to grow and maybe change a little bit, and maybe having some social workers or people that understand how to de-escalate. I was in the Air Force, and anybody who's been in the service, we're taught to escalate things. When something needs to be escalated, most of the time they send the military in. I think we need to actually maybe demilitarize the police a little bit, send them in situations, help them, but maybe better fund them and better support them. And that means everybody better supporting. The mayor said a few minutes ago, if you see some kind of crime, be in. This is your community. Participate in the policing of the community. The best communities, quite frankly, police themselves. And so, no, I would be against that, and I would be more supportive.
Thank you. I actually have two questions, and they kind of go hand in hand, so I'm going to combine them there. Recently, state and federal levels of government have launched, by their own definition, unconstitutional mandates, like state forcing of COVID-19 vaccinations on nurses, and the federal government mandates on private companies, prompting some counties in the state of Colorado to launch declarations against such acts. Trinidad is a home charter municipality. As mayor, what would be, or in the case of the incumbent, what has been your stance on these unconstitutional mandates? And as a follow-on, how will you bring healthcare back to Trinidad?
As far as the first question, trying to think what that first question was completed. If you might read that again, please.
Yeah, based on the unconstitutional mandates,
Okay.
Trinidad being a home charter municipality.
Well, we are a home charter municipality, that's true. And, what we have not taken any particular stance as far as mandates in the community. We feel that, and I feel, like it's my responsibility as an individual to protect my neighbor, my family. And the problem today is people are not taking that responsibility upon themselves. So what is the government supposed to do? If we look at it, safety, health and safety is the number one issue that overrides anything else in a municipality. Everything else can go by the wayside, but safety is number one. And the health of our community is part of that. So we must remember that we must always take health as a number one priority. As far as the mandate to the state, that we see from the state and the federal government, I don't think that's going to come down to this level, but if it does, we will have to take a look at that.
I appreciate the question, but I have to say that some of the questions we're having right now, I would prefer for them, and so hopefully you guys can get involved, to be less constitutional and national, and more, what is our code? What does our municipal code do? How do we do things here that we actually have an ability to have an effect on? So again, I'm going to have to say, most of the answer to this question will have to be my personal opinion, because I would work with the council and the staff in order to do things there. So what can you do with regards to that? So the Constitution we all run under, and so certainly we'll all follow that. But the question that I really thought had some meat in there was with regards to health. And I'm going to go back, and you'll hear me just be redundant. Housing. So TSC has a nursing program. So what I'd love to be able to do is actually really help enrich that program and help this college attract more nurses. The next thing is, when you have housing, we may be able to bring some of our doctors and nurses home here, because we have facilities. I've lived in other rural places. We have some really great facilities here. I'm really pleased with some of the nurses and doctors and medical facilities we have. I think they do an outstanding job and continue to do so. So as far as the constitutionality of some of those things, I'll let the folks in the big paying jobs figure that thing out, let them fight that over a little bit. They seem to have a big problem with that. With regards to municipal code, with regards to what we can do, with regards to having a better relationship with TSC, and with regards to making sure that we're communicating with the people that are boots on the ground, I will take a very active role with that. Thank you.
Thank you both. And I think just as a side comment of my own there, when we're talking constitutionality, I don't think the Constitution stops at the borders of Trinidad. And I think the question was stating if there was unconstitutional acts being forced down, would the city step in and rectify some of that? That was my interpretation. I do have one individual question for Mr. Pat Howlett. How long have you lived in Trinidad, and why did you move here?
It's a great question. What a great question. It means you love me and you want me here maybe a little longer. So, 6 years ago, I was living in Castle Rock. I had come back from helping my dad. My dad had cancer. We got a couple extra years from him. And we went to Castle Rock, and we knew Castle Rock from a long time ago, and it wasn't Castle Rock anymore. It had changed a lot. And so we started a search. We looked on the western slope. We went to Elizabeth. We went to Cheyenne, Wyoming. You can lay in the street on Saturday in the middle of Cheyenne, Wyoming. Nobody's going to run you over. And we happened to come to Trinidad. And instead of just coming through, I don't smoke pot. I have no problem with others, adults doing what they do. But we stopped through. You get gas on the way to Santa Fe, and that's what I've done. And we stopped, and I fell in love. And so 5 years ago, we bought the property. Now, here's the thing. When we bought property, there was lots of property available, and you could get a deal. But a whole bunch of LLCs and other folks bought property, too. They saw what me and others saw, and they took those off the market, and some of those homes were the exact homes we need, but we can't build because Chapter 14 of the Use Code doesn't allow those things to be built. So we've been here 5 years, and as I shared a bit ago, it's not like I just decided, you know what, running for mayor would be a pretty fun gig to do. I don't think it's a fun gig. I have a lot of respect for the mayor. And I'll share some of those thoughts later on because I do. But I'm the president of the Kiwanis Club. It's a 100-year club. They don't just let anybody come in there. I was asked to be on the board here at the college. You see me all over town. I started that little tidbits paper to help locally owned businesses during COVID. I'm active. I've been here. If you don't know me now, please look me up. I think you'll like me.
Thank you. Next question I got from the audience is, attracting art and culture is fine, as well as outdoor recreation. Yes, it attracts tourists and such. Small business is also great. However, what is the mayor's vision for industry and jobs? We need jobs to keep our young people here, and minimum wage jobs are not enough.
As far as minimum wage jobs, you are correct. They need to be higher paying scale to attract, for people to be able to live here. What is happening today with the housing industry, it's just gone through the roof locally. My background is in the housing industry. I worked 43 years in the building material industry, so I understand quite well the housing industry. It has gone from, I remember, building a house for $30 a square foot to right now $150 a square foot. And that's pretty cheap in the state of Colorado. So housing is a really, really, really huge issue. Because if you find a decent house right now in Trinidad, it's going to cost you, upwards of $300,000 and higher than that. So in order to be able to attract those millennials and those jobs that are up north, like I mentioned earlier, we want to try to make Trinidad and bring the quality of life that these younger people are really looking for. So in order to do that, we have to establish an economy base, and that is through bringing in broadband, which I mentioned that I'm working on right now. And that is, like I mentioned, is the cog in the wheel. If we could build on that broadband, we will attract those millennials and those people seeking a smaller community to live in, where they can raise a family and have some room to spread out. That is one thing that you go to Denver, you go to Colorado Springs, and it is such a cluster that it is hard to actually live there. So I believe that we have opportunities. It's going to take some time, but I believe that we will get there. And Trinidad is a rising star in the state of Colorado, so we are being recognized across the state.
Industry and jobs, right? There's that housing thing again, right? But there are lots of options with housing that aren't $300,000 houses. We have to reimagine what housing is. Now, I invite everyone to just drive around Trinidad, and you will see a big lumber or coal baron's house. And right down the road in another era, there's a little small, like 1,000 square foot house. So the history of Trinidad shows that we've been here before, we've figured out how to adapt to it, and we've done it. industry. We've seen in our history, and I just drive around, we have a rich history of great industry. Here's what I don't believe. I do not believe there will be a savior company coming here, bringing 400 jobs that are going to be well-paying and do that. I just don't think that's happening. So what do? You attract smaller, 5, 10 persons. But before that, let me back up a little bit. I think the first thing you do before the floodgates open up is you take care of the current locally owned businesses. You find there's businesses here that already are doing well, and maybe they just need a little bit more. You find there are businesses that are already here, maybe they just have a couple of challenges. So first thing first, you get stakeholders together and you say, where are you hurting? What do you see? You've been here longer than me. How do we fix that? Now, the broadband is going to actually help with that a lot. But here's the problem. And I'm just going to say the world according to Pat. You don't want to attract a whole bunch of just lone eagle folks. Okay? You don't want to attract just a whole bunch of retirees, because the desire for services go up, and you just really, in many cases, attracted consumers. Nothing wrong with that, but outdoor recreation, we can bring in consumers, have them bring their wallets, and have them just go home after they've slept here and had a little bit of time. So I think it's small industry, it's better connection with our current businesses, and it's understanding things have to be envisioned differently.
Thank you. I think it also takes an understanding in the community when we talk about minimum wage jobs. Colorado minimum wage is going to $12.56 an hour on January 1st. And I'll just speak from experience. I'm not even close to that on the starting wage. I'm way over that, including 401k, but that's a different thing. But I just want you to understand that $12.56, that's over $26,180 a year is the minimum wage in Trinidad on January 1. So it's not like the old 13,000 days. Next question that I have is, what is your stand on one man's input into ADA bullying and harassment of outdoor dining? Be a learning point for me too. I'll start. Well, Mr. Mayor, start first.
I'm going to kind of, in a way, probably not address that, because that is an ongoing issue, and I know the person that the question arises from. And we are constantly being bombarded by many of his accusations. We can try to get together a group of other disabled people in this community. The thing about it is, we have limitations. We have limitations to the amount of money that we can spend on ADA each year. We have to budget for them. And the biggest problem is that currently we have a lot of projects that we want to finish, but even finding the contractors to do those jobs has become very, very difficult. So I'm going to kind of skirt the question of the ADA issue with that one person, because I don't want to put myself in a position where there is a potential litigation. And I know that is something that everybody sees every day, and I know that is a question that everybody says. Why do we continue to be harassed by this person? Unfortunately, he is a citizen of this community. We need to listen to him. In some ways, he has actually done some good by bringing forward that we do need to step up to the plate and create more accessibility for the ADA community. But this is not going to be an overnight fix. It's going to be a long-term solution, and it's going to cost probably over $10 million when it's all said and done throughout the community. So we just need to bear in mind that we need to be patient and work with our city government and our city officials and our directors to try to get this all taken care of in the future.
again, a lot of respect for the mayor. I think that's the position that one needs to take. So I'm going to skirt it as well, but I'm going to attack it from kind of a different door. I think the ADA is good legislation. I think being able to move around the community for as many people as possible is an important goal. I think 25 years ago, 27 years ago is when the ADA came in. And what folks should realize is the council and the mayor have been very limited with how they can attack things. If you don't have the resources, you have to do things in iterations, incrementally. And I think they're trying to do that. Now, yes, I would, the mayor alluded to something, I would seek a task force. Now, a task force would be very specific in task, very specific in time. And I would invite that gentleman and any other folks that are mostly affected by that to sit down and help us prioritize things. Let them know that we only have a limited budget. Again, this falls under the communication tent. I think if we communicated better with stakeholders, residents, folks in town, I think we have less of a disconnect where somebody feels they have to continue to threaten. And so, yes, I'd say this task force together. I think sometimes when you get people together that seem to be angry and you bring them together with people that have the same objectives but are less angry, I think you have a calming effect in regards to that. I do believe, I would have taken up that gentleman when he went to, I would have taken him up on let me have your chair, I'll take it Tuesday, I'll drive around. I really would like to know where we're failing. Because I think it helps those folks. And when we look at disabled, it may not be somebody you think is disabled, maybe just somebody that's an elder that really just wants to get to the store and back and not be confronted by ice and terrible steps. So I think since it is in litigation, I would try and mitigate that to the degree that council would allow, but I would still reach out to folks and communicate with them. If I'm mayor, you'll see me communicating a lot more with a lot more groups.
And so for our last question this evening, fentanyl and other illicit drug use vagrancy is running rampant in the city. What's your plan to address those issues?
Increasing policing, increasing our police around the community. In years past, and up to last year, I didn't see so much of it this year, but we had our policemen actually riding around town on bicycles, walking the beat, basically, I guess what you call. I've seen them this year riding ATVs. So the main thing is that all these addictive drugs are really, really a challenge to our entire society. It seems like you can arrest one drug lord or whatever you want to call that person, and another one steps right in. So it's almost like we're fighting a battle that we can't win. You know, there's been many, many battles that have been fought in the past as far as trying to curb the use of drugs. And fentanyl just came in just a few years ago. It's a very deadly drug. A drop can kill you. So what, the problem with it is getting these people that are selling it off the street is very difficult. And they are smart. And what I mean by smart is that they try to stand to that, I think, what is it, the four, I forget what it is, the weight. If they stand to that amount that they get caught with, it's just pretty much a misdemeanor. If they get caught with something greater than that, it becomes a felony. So it's very difficult to deal with the drug addictions because, like I mentioned, these drug users will go to any extent to get a fix. They will approach you in the parking lots, in Safeway, on the street. They will break into your vehicles. They will break into your homes. So it's a very difficult situation to deal with, and it's almost impossible to stop.
It's tragic. It's just tragic on so many levels. But I want to go up a stage first before just the person. We have these settlements now with the opioid opioid crisis that we've all gone through across the country. And I want to just say some of the perpetrators of that were like Purdue Pharma, like pharmaceutical companies, like doctors with prescriptions for dollars. Sometimes we look at the end result of something and we affix all blame to that end result, not understanding that some breaks in society have helped create that. So the mayor is certainly more knowledgeable of this. I've not had a chance to sit with the chief of police, but I would, and I would be educated, and I'm a quick study. I would probably work closer with professionals that swim in these waters all the time. Let's say the folks at Health Solutions that are here, they're on Main Street, they're at the ready. I've tried to build a relationship with Brother Clay, with the Way, and other service organizations, social services, fabric organizations. I think we need to bring them together closer as well. So I think before I would actually start looking at the individual perpetrator, I think there, again, when I started in a civil society, there are laws, rules, and consequences. I think the way to actually approach this would be regional. I don't know if Trinidad, in our own resources, has enough to be able to do that. So I would look at the county commissioners, I would look at the hospitals, and I'd try and again build a coalition of stakeholders that know a little bit more than I about that problem. But it's tragic, and it's infested our community, and it's one of the causes to homelessness, besides people maybe like that lifestyle. Thank you.
I wish to thank both participants in being here this evening and as they contemplate their closing statements. I would ask the audience to continue with your questions. We will send them to the candidates and post any responses received on our social media and website. And if you haven't visited the Chamber's new website, it's www.tlacchamber.org. It's a one-stop shop for membership, joining, news, and information. And don't forget Trinidad Times Television, Channel 71 on your local cable network, and available 24/7 on YouTube. KCRT, KBKZ Radio, the Mountain 92.5 and 100.3 FM, and Coyote Country 96.5 and 100.9 on your FM dial. Just go ahead, tune them in, rip off the knob. It's just that good. As we move to close the mayor's segment, as the Honorable Mayor went first in opening, Mr. Hall, may we have your closing statement?
Yes, Pat Howlett. That's okay. Not a problem. I just love my daddy's name so much. I've not really prepared anything, and the reason for that is my mama said, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. So I've got some nice things to say. I voted for Mayor Phil. I loved what he did in those first 2 years, Mayor. He made sure that there's some stability in the town. He made sure that before that, if you study the history, there were city managers being fired and mayors being recalled, and that's one of the reasons why it's a 2-year kind of term, kind of there just to kind of keep some controls out of there. But he brought stability there. And in those first 2 years, he really went out of his way to make sure the folks up north didn't forget that we're on this side of the border, not on the other side of the border. So I really appreciate that. I think I was hoping for some more different questions. I really wanted to get deep into this stuff, and I think I failed. And so I want to invite you. I'm on Facebook, Pat for Trinidad, number 4 in there, Pat for Trinidad. And I have a website with fields in there where you can ask me any question you want, and I'm very approachable and very reachable. And so what I encourage you to do is hold your vote a little ways. Just hold on to it a little bit. It's precious for everyone. Come November 1st, look at things. But test Phil. Test me. Give Rusty an opportunity. I'm saddened a little bit that he wasn't able to be here. He's a good man who also loves this community. But I would say, hold your vote a little bit. Ask me some questions. See where I am. I do believe that I have the experience, the knowledge, the leadership style, and the attitude to move us in a positive direction. And so I hope to earn your vote. And if not, I think you're in real capable hands with the other 2 guys. I do like and respect them very much. And so thank you, folks that came out here, and thanks anybody that's going to be watching this. I very much appreciate this opportunity to serve.
As a lifelong resident of Trinidad and Los Angeles County, I am 70 years of age. I've been married to my wonderful wife for 50 years. We have 2 children, 2 grandchildren, 2 great-grandchildren. And together, she and I, we have seen the many ups and downs of this community over our married life. This community has struggled, yes, but things are changing. So like I said, I am once again running for mayor for the city of Trinidad. We have made considerable progress in the last few years, and I'm proud that I have been an integral part of much of this progress. We need to visualize Trinidad's potential and seize the opportunities that arise. In 2017, I recommended to council to establish a rainy day fund from the cannabis revenue. In 2017, I also brought to the city council to support the purchase of Fisher's Peak. The result is now the 42nd State Park. In 2018, I started an annual State of the City address given in February each year. In 2018, I established a community annual legislative event which includes the Los Angeles County Commissioners, state and federal legislators, and the local business community. In 2018, I also started a group to make recommendations to the City Council and Los Angeles County Commissioners for the Los Angeles County to recognize the needs of the city and the county. That has been put on hold due to COVID-19. In 2019, I reached out to build a working relationship with Los Angeles County Commissioners. This relationship has proved beneficial. In 2019, I testified in front of the Colorado Housing and Finance Authority with Tara Marshall and Andrew Michelson for the Space to Create project. The result was getting $10 million in tax credits to build the project. In 2019, this was pretty much mid-December and had to be done by the end of December. There was a gap of $875,000 that was needed to finalize the Space to Create project. Our director and I met with our partners. The result was $875,000 and an additional $300,000 to help the project along. In 2020, I recommended City Council support the visioning process for the river running through town that is underway with the Greenway Foundation. I testified this past legislative session on House Bill 21-1215, a justice crime prevention initiative resulting in bringing $350,000 into the city of Trinidad. All infrastructure, roads, water, sewer, electrical is addressed yearly in our CIP funding. ADA is currently being addressed. Funding for infrastructure will require tens of millions of future dollars. I currently serve on many boards. I'm on the Southwest Chief Commission. I'm one of the Fort Carson liaisons. I'm on the Action 22 board, the Tourism liaison. I'm the Trinidad representative of the Colorado Municipal League. I'm on the Fisher Peak Leadership Group. I'm a board member of the Trinidad Community Foundation. And in 2014, I was the fundraising chairman for the Rural Philanthropy Days where we raised $60,000. And like I mentioned earlier, I'm currently working on the possibility of bringing broadband to Trinidad. As a matter of fact, we have a meeting with some people this next week. I'm currently working also with Amtrak and CDOT to build a structure for Amtrak for passengers waiting to board Amtrak. From what I understand, there's $350,000 that is going to be used to build that. They're just waiting to find a contractor to build that structure. I worked diligently to create awareness of Trinidad on our needs with state and federal legislators, and that was one of the things that I wanted to do when I threw my hat in for mayor, was to raise awareness at the state level. All this requires sound leadership and the ability to bring people together for a common cause. I ask for your vote to continue this progress, and I remain committed to our community yesterday, today, and tomorrow.
Alrighty. I wish to thank both participants for being here this evening, and best of luck in the upcoming election. Our next contestants are the at-large city council member positions. There are 3 positions open, and we have 3 candidates. Mr. Eli De Bono, Ms. Karen Riego, now also serving as mayor pro tem for the city, and Mr. Naaman Thurman. And as they move into position, we'll be right back after a brief intermission.
At Philong, we pride ourselves on the best customer experience in parts, service, and sales.
I am so happy that we were able to find the right car and we were able to go through the process quickly and very easily.
Plus, we offer you the best brands: Ford, Chevy, Hyundai, Audi, Kia, Genesis, Lincoln, Toyota, Honda, and Mercedes-Benz.
And always the best deals. Experience why Colorado drives Philong.
Freedom isn't free. This time of year, give thanks and help our veterans.
Thank you for protecting our freedom.
Thank you for your sacrifices.
Gracias al apoyo que dan a nuestra comunidad.
Thank you for keeping us safe.
Our veterans, America's heroes. They fought for our country. Now many fight for their lives. Please donate today. Your gift will make a difference. Help us, help ours.
At Mount Carmel Veterans Service Center.
Lisa Camarillo here with Philong Toyota. Come sell me yours and I'll sell you mine. We want your trade. Plus, new Toyotas are arriving every day. Drive a brand new 2021 Toyota Camry, RAV4, or Tacoma with our one-pay lease offers. Just one payment of $15,000 for 36 months of worry-free driving.
Visit us today and get a cup of coffee on me, Lisa Camarillo.
If we don't have it, we'll get it. Experience why Colorado drives Philong.
The best pre-owned deals are happening now at Philong Ford of Raton. We have 1,200 pre-owned vehicles to choose from. Payments from just $199 a month, just $199. Plus our goal, 100% credit approval. And this month only, enjoy summer with the $29.95 oil change. Visit us today or online anytime at ratonford.com. Get small town service and big city selection. If we don't have it, we'll get it. Experience why New Mexico drives Philong.
At Philong, we pride ourselves on the best customer experience in parts, service, and sales.
I'm so happy that we were able to find the right car and we were able to go through the process quickly and very easily.
Plus, we offer you the best brands: Ford, Chevy, Hyundai, Audi, Kia, Genesis, Lincoln, Toyota, Honda, and Mercedes-Benz.
And always the best deals. Experience why Colorado drives Philong.
Freedom isn't free. This time of year, give thanks and help our veterans.
Thank you for protecting our freedom.
Thank you for your sacrifices.
Gracias al apoyo que dan a nuestra comunidad.
Thank you for keeping us safe.
Our veterans, America's heroes. They fought for our country. Now many fight for their lives. Please donate today. Your gift will make a difference. Help us, help ours.
At Mount Carmel Veterans Service Center.
Lisa Camarillo here with Philong Toyota. Come sell me yours and I'll sell you mine. We want your trade. Plus, new Toyotas are arriving every day. Drive a brand new 2021 Toyota Camry, RAV4, or Tacoma with our one-pay lease offers. Just one payment of $15,000 for 36 months of worry-free driving.
Visit us today and get a cup of coffee on me, Lisa Camarillo.
If we don't have it, we'll get it. Experience why Colorado drives Philong.
The best pre-owned deals are happening now at Philong Ford of Raton. We have 1,200 pre-owned vehicles to choose from. Payments from just $199 a month, just $199.
Quick sanitizing job up there. If you need any sort of quick cleaning, SoCo Quick Clean, 719-679-3085. The City of Trinidad government is a council manager form of government. That means that it isn't executive led. Each council person's vote is essentially the same and therefore equally important. Being the council position is at large, the council person is not accountable to any district, but to every citizen in the entire city. As such, it should be as equally important to have the understanding of the council members as it would be to the mayor on essential topics. We begin this block with the introductions, and we would ask that the current Mayor Pro Tem, City Council Person Karen Guerrero, give us her opening statement.
Thank you, Mr. Phelan, and thank you to the Chamber. As Mr. Phelan mentioned, I am on council now, and I'm going to begin my second term January 22nd. I am now the Mayor Pro Tem. I hope I have enough time to give you a little bit of my resume, because I know there's a lot of you out there that don't know me. I'm married with 2 adult daughters and 1 granddaughter. I am a founding member of the Trinidad Tourism Board, past board member of the Chamber of Commerce, past member of the 3rd Judicial District Victims Compensation Board, past board president for Noah's Ark Animal Welfare Association, past member of Colorado Small Business Commission, and numerous others. I don't want to waste my time telling you how great I am. I want to tell you what I've done the past 4 years and what I hope to do in the remaining 4 years of my term. As you can see by some of the information I gave you, I have past experience with state, local boards, to include nonprofits, national corporations. I'm involved in an insurance company I represent on a national level. I've gotten several awards for my performance in my profession. I'm also past member of many civic boards. I, as the rest of my family, believe it's important to give of your time, talent, and treasures to promote and assist your community. I've been doing this for 4 years, as well as my husband. My only intent on running for city council is I want to give back to a community that has given my family and I so many opportunities. If anybody's ever been in public office, you know that the learning curve is pretty steep. I remember my first day, my first council meeting, my knees were knocking so bad I had a hard time walking up to the dais. That's how the gravity of the situation that I got involved in stuck me, and I realized it was a very important job I was going to do. I worked very diligently over the past 4 years to be a productive member of council. I have educated myself. I've read all the material given to me. I've studied every item of material given to me so I can render a good and fair decision. I have always asked one question of myself before I vote. I have always voted to the best interest of this community. Is it fair to everybody in the community? How will it affect businesses in the community? And first and foremost, can we afford it? I take my fiduciary duties very seriously when it comes to spending public dollar. In my first term, we had success, and I'm not saying that I did this by myself. It was a collaborative effort. But in my first term, successes included the revitalization of the Corazon, both public and private partnerships, and the Corazon right now is very vibrant, very alive, and there's a lot of small business down there. And it's due to the work of the council for the past 4 years. What happened to us in the spring of 2020, the COVID pandemic, there's nothing that could have prepared council for what has happened. But the staff and council got together and said, we're going to get through this, we're going to get through it together. And we did, and we came out of that pandemic pretty unscathed. I'm sorry I don't have enough time, but I'll continue in my closing. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mayor Pro Tem. I'd also like to just add in there, she is officiato director on the chamber board. She continues to give timely advice to the board, and we do appreciate that. Next up is Councilperson Eli De Bono.
Thank you, Lee. Thank you, Phil. Thank you, Bill Phillips and Amy Navarrete. Appreciate being here. Would like to introduce myself. My name is Eli De Bono. I lived here for 66 years. I taught math and science, Trinidad School District number 1 for 34 and a half years. I've been a member of the ALPS and numerous organizations in town. I'm also the Los Angeles County Veterans. I'm on the board of that. And first of all, I'd like to thank everyone here in attendance. You know, City Council is very much of a learning process. I believe that the most important facet is to represent the city with honesty, integrity, and fairness with everyone I come in contact with. So I have no hidden platforms or agendas. Being on City Council takes passion and a vision for local government as well as courage. Cultivating good habits helps to be more effective at representing and advocating our great city of Trinidad. An effective city leader, I believe, is respectful, polite, and differential towards everyone. Fellow council members, mayors, staff, and the public, regardless of likes, dislikes, friendships, or politics. I believe to be effective, you need to take care of yourself physically as well as mentally. Council work is uniquely difficult, and it's easy to be elected. It's easy for elected officials to neglect themselves physically and emotionally. It can be taxing, and no one cannot be affected and make good decisions when self-care is absent. Sure, you want to take care of the city, but you have to take care of yourself first. A good council member studies, listens, and is willing to have preconceived ideas challenged. You're on the front lines of fielding community concerns, issues, as well as grievances. Constructive feedback is essential to improving your performance as an elected local representative. It takes honesty, common sense, and proper time management to communicate with residents, local organizations, as well as the press. Like Mayor Rico stated, Trinidad has seen the ups and downs in the economy for decades. This is nothing new. Trinidad has seen the job market increase, believe it or not, by 3.9%, and this is during the COVID situation. According to future prognostications, the next 10 years would see a 39.8% increase, which is higher than the national average of 33.5%. So we're making some strides in that direction. Trinidad needs to continue and promote a balanced and thriving city economy, promote efficient and effective city government, to improve levels of service, to develop, maintain, and upgrade the public infrastructure, to improve community appearance, and encourage strategic planning with continued development of major city projects, safety, education, and resident health. I've been anchored in this town, in this community since 1955, and I love this town. I love the people in it. I'll never move anywhere else. Never say never, right? I will continue to do my very best to represent the constituents only after I've seen the future needs of the city as a whole. To continue to strive and move to focus in moving the city forward with rational-based decisions and ideas as well. I will continue to work diligently to improve myself, not prove myself. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. De Bono. I do remember your dad, Nick. He was a great man. It's great to be missed.
Thank you.
Our final contestant was Mr. Naaman Thurman, and it appears that he has not showed this evening. So we'll move right into the questions. First question deals with education. Trinidad State College has one of the world's renowned gunsmithing programs. What's your support of such programs and in the Second Amendment as a whole?
Who are you addressing, Mr.? Okay. My mic seems to be going in and out. Can you hear me okay? Okay. Second Amendment right, I'm going to pass that. Trinidad State College, our family has personally supported the college, and the city has supported the college as well. We've done numerous partnerships with the college. I do believe that College does have a world-class gunsmithing program. But the way I look at my role on city council is if I stray away too far from what I am responsible for, I'm not doing anybody any justice. So my job on city council is to make sure that we give the best foot forward to present to the gunsmithing students, the nursing students, the basketball players, the volleyball players, the most decent quality of life in a small town, college town that we can provide. There's no way that the council is in charge of programs such as yours, but we definitely promote and support those programs.
Thank you. Mr. De Bono.
Trinidad State College, I can't say junior, even on the radio up at KCRT, is world renowned. You know, there's only 17 students allowed each year in the gunsmithing program, give or take 1 or 2. There's a gunsmithing school, I think in Mississippi, that they alternate 1 and 2 every year. I attended Trinidad State the first year before I received my 4-year degree up north. I played basketball here. I knew a lot of the teachers firsthand. It's a great organization. And to be allowed on council, like Councilman Griego just stated, it's a privilege to help people, and their necessities and needs are overwhelming sometimes, and sometimes you just have to go by the heart, not so much by the book, to make rationally based decisions on merit. And you know, we're not in this for ourselves. I'm here for my neighbor here, I'm here for Lee, for Amy, for Bill. Trinidad State offers so many opportunities for young adults. You know, kids, I taught school 35 years. There's a lot of kids I taught at the high school that didn't know what they wanted to be or do when they graduated from Trinidad High School. So, you know, this is a good stepping stone for them. I'm glad they took junior out of the equation. Okay, I think we were going to solicit more people knowing that we have Trinidad State College and not junior college anymore. Junior seems kind of trivial, kind of a backseat. But I admire the staff, Mike Salvato, some of the people associated with the radio station. They're great people, and I'm just certainly allowed to be here tonight to represent the council, the city of Trinidad, and Trinidad State College.
Thank you. We'll start with you, Mr. De Bono. Next question is infrastructure. Water, power, roads, and high-speed internet are essential infrastructure necessary to sustain a viable community. What's your goals in getting, restoring, or repairing needed infrastructure for the city, and what do you perceive is the #1 priority?
Well, I believe everything is predicated on transparency. Yes, as Mayor Rico stated, the infrastructure is very aged. I remember even wooden water lines going up Highway 12. You know, we need to have a collaborative effort with other city council members and the community to and work with the city planner, the city manager, the mayor, and the existing council members to come to a rational game plan, a strategic game plan. And it's a one step at a time procedure. You can't do this overnight. Infrastructure, without infrastructure, we don't have anything else. I'm not so great about 5G. 4G is fine. Let's take care of our streets. Let's take care of our sewers. Let's take care of Country Club Drive. I still call it Country Club Drive, not Santa Fe Trail. I believe that infrastructure is the heart and soul of every city. Without it, we don't exist.
When you're talking about infrastructure, you can't say the sewer is more important than the water, or the electric grid is more important than the gas lines. They're all important. They're all essential to what we're doing. And we did an administrative change at the city. Actually, our current city manager, Mr. Valentine, changed the public works position. One gentleman was in charge of gas, water, and light. So what he did when he was elevated to the manager's position, we have an administrator for each one of those departments. So we're honed in better. We have a better handle on what's going on with the utilities. Well, people don't understand that those utilities are what they call enterprise funds. They have to support themselves. There's no way you can subsidize out like with cannabis money. They have to support themselves. So we're in order, I'm Italian, I have to talk with my hands. In order to get real concrete improvements, to, like say the sewer lines, the gas lines, you have to go out and get grants for those major projects, and staff is really, we're working on that constantly. We're right now in the middle of proposing a budget for 2021, and each department is responsible. And so for what you can't buy what you can't afford. So basically we're doing what we can with what we have to work with. You know, and I believe it's not world class, but we're doing well.
Thank you. The next question deals with vagrancy. A growing problem throughout the community is the large number of vagrants in the city, panhandling, vagrant camps along the Riverwalk, or simply citizens feeling unsafe walking downtown streets both day or night. Has a detrimental effect to both the business community's viability and citizen quality of life. How will you address this ever-increasing problem?
Okay. Well, you know, I have a different take on that. Vagrancy, homeless people, it's a segment of our society. Therefore, by the grace of God go I. I don't know if I would have ever been in that position. They have a right in that park, as long as they're being responsible, as long as they're not destroying public property, as long as they're not harassing or intimidating anyone, they have a right there. And really, my family goes to Chimino Park almost on a daily basis because we walk the dogs during our lunch hour. And I have, honestly, I'm telling you the truth, never had any problems with any of the people over at Chimino. I wish they would be more respectful of our property. But if you look at the police blotter, when there's something going on down there, the police department's called and they take care of it. But I think the problem is with us. We have a hard time looking at them because it's unpleasant. And if it's unpleasant for us to look at them, just think how unpleasant it is for them to be them.
Well, it seems like every year downtown patrons and workers and visitors give thousands of dollars to panhandlers. Unfortunately, giving directly to panhandlers is not a good solution to the homeless. But I have to tell you, I've talked to pastors and officials in this town. 96% of those people that you call vagrant, that are homeless, it was not by choice. They did not choose this lifestyle. I personally have taught, I can count at least 12 students that I've had that they have a daily occurrence at Chimino Park. I was down there Sunday helping some of them, distributing pizza to a lot of these people. And you know, it's sad because one person gets a divorce and then everything collapses. The family's gone. You turn to drugs, alcohol, and what other substances that you can find. But many of the panhandlers are not homeless, and it is their profession. I know there's a lot of cons out there. They claim to be veterans and they're not. They prey upon our sympathies because we feel sorry for them. I've given them money. I know some of the panhandlers, and I tell them, there's a better life, let me help you. If I can't help you, let someone that can. Using money for drugs and alcohol, that's not the solution either. I personally, if there was grant money available, and I know other cities have shelters, Colorado Springs, Denver, Pueblo, I don't know if that is a good long-term solution, but I believe it's a start. To get vagrancy, I know there's scams and there's cons, but there are people that do need help. And God told us, you love your neighbor as yourself, no matter what you think of them.
Thank you. Mr. Eli, this question will start with you. With the pandemic paying people to stay home instead of working, how do you encourage these people to get out and work? Because there are a lot of hiring signs everywhere.
Can you repeat that, Lee?
Yes, sir. With the pandemic paying people to stay home instead of working, how do you encourage these people to get out and work? Because there are a lot of hiring signs everywhere.
Well, it seems like, and I'm not going to get into politics, but we've become a pretty cushiony society. Give me this, we have our handout for everything else. I would encourage actually some training sessions for a lot of these people that want to work. They say they want to work, but they want to stay home. These people, I don't believe, are lazy. I just believe that they've been handed pretty much maybe a silver spoon, a half of a silver spoon, to stay at home and be comfortable and not have to be accountable for their actions. If any government in the world takes care of a person, what do you think that person's going to do? You think that person's going to go out and actually look for a job and have a sense of responsibility and accountability? I believe that we need to overlook some of the problematic issues that involve some of this rhetoric that's going on. You know, I drive by Lee's place there on McDonald's, and you're hiring. You know, people do want to work, but to get them in there takes a little bit of force. And if you're going to force someone to work, how do you think that job performance is going to be?
Would you repeat the question again, sir?
Yes, this is it. With the pandemic paying people to stay home instead of working, how do you encourage these people to get out and work? Because there are a lot of hiring signs everywhere.
There is, but I think that borders on being a personal issue. It's not an issue that involves me as Karen Grego City Councilman. I can tell you as a business person, when that pandemic hit in March of 2020 and the streets of Trinidad were empty and I couldn't get people into my office to sell them product, I was concerned. You know, Trinidad, as fragile as it was, even before the pandemic, we weren't really 100% standing on our own 2 feet. I was concerned that it would take Trinidad down, and it didn't. My job is to make sure that the revenues that are given to the city are spent well, that we're taking care of the utilities. In the pandemic, we didn't have to lay off not one city employee. Well, all of our projects and everything that we had talked about doing continued on. Delays, yes sirree, we had a lot of delays, but not because of us. I'm not going to say if people justly or unjustly get unemployment, but that is a historical event that none of us alive now ever had any experience with. And I'm just glad we as the city, I'm only talking about the city, did what we had to do to maintain ourselves and maintain the community.
Thank you. Next question deals with emergency services. Do you support our local emergency services? And would you ever vote to defund the police or any other emergency service? Start with you, Karen.
Well, that's absolutely a big no, because every time we vote on payroll and budget and payroll and just general fund expenses, every 2 weeks the biggest chunk of our payroll is to the fire department and to the police because those two departments are not enterprise funded, we are able to use cannabis money to supplement those departments. The police department, well, let me tell you, I'm so proud that with cannabis money we were able to buy $1 million fire truck several years ago. I think we're almost through replacing all of the police cars in the fleet. We've given bought the police department protective gear, state-of-the-art, first-class protective gear, electronics, ammunition, weapons that they need. You know, criminals are changing, and we spend a lot of money keeping our police force up to date. So absolutely no, I'm not in favor of defunding. Do I think maybe policing in the future is going to change? Absolutely. I think in addition to our police officers, I think we need people with mental health experience to go out on these calls where weapons or force does the job. I think we need to start thinking smarter about some of those things, but defunding, absolutely not.
I would never vote to defund the police department force. Activists who support the defunding of police departments often argue that investing in community programs could provide better crime deterrent for communities. Funds would go towards addressing social issues, homelessness, and mental disorders. And personally, my father was a policeman. He responded to a call in 1974 at Safeway, the downtown Safeway, when it just opened. The one from Main Street moved to where it is now. A person shot him in the neck when he responded to a robbery. He arrested the person, and till the day he died, he still had fragments in his neck. And I always remember that because, I remember there was a saying on some of the police cars that they are providing a service for safety. And a lot of people, they don't believe that anymore. Sure, there's a few minute policemen that may harass and may be a little bit overbearing, but 99.9% of those people that put on that blue uniform, they're putting their life, they could end their life in 5 minutes. They don't know when they leave the house that morning if they're going to end up at their house that night. So I would never, ever, gospel truth, ever vote to defund any police department or the police in general.
Thank you, sir. The Delta variant of the COVID-19 is but one of over 18 variants of interest being tracked by the World Health Organization, leaving a very real scenario that COVID-19, like the influenza virus, may be with us forever in some form. The nation never fired anyone when they didn't get a flu shot, even in major spreader events throughout history. Is there a reasonable approach where elected leaders have oversight to the decisions unelected public health boards may dictate, or unconstitutional edicts by supremacy government agencies? Does the council have any blanket to protect their constituents?
I don't believe elected officials have any jurisdiction in the right to tell a person that they have to get a COVID vaccination. COVID-19 vaccination is a personal choice, and the COVID-19 vaccine mandates have become a hotly contested issue, as we all know. Those who choose not to get vaccinated, that's their prerogative. They pose no public threat to those already immune. Would we be so stern toward people making choices to smoke and drink alcohol, which claim about 500,000 lives every year? We put as much of a precedent as we did on that, as we do on COVID, as opposed to smoking and drinking and drugs, then I think our thought process might be a little bit different. We don't have the same public alarm, so I believe that elected officials don't have a right to tell you that you need a shot. And if you're fired from that, I'm not going to get into that because I know there's a lot of people that are probably telling me right now, well, you're wrong. But there's some people that were fired also. You know, they could have a 5-star rating working 27, 37 years, and all of a sudden your boss comes in and says, well, you know, you passed the deadline for your vaccination. Goodbye. Find another job. Lose your house, lose your family. Sorry.
When I started my first term on council, I took the oath of office that says that you uphold the Constitution of the United States, you uphold the laws governing the state of Colorado, and you uphold the laws governing the city of Trinidad. The mandates with the vaccinations are not involving what I do for the city. If I were to, if it's upholding the law, I took an oath to do it, and I will do so. I will tell you, for the people that are out there that are really, I don't know what the adjective would be, but to say that it's not my right, it's my right not to. But I want those people that, and I'm not saying that's right or wrong, that's your personal choice. This country was founded on personal choice. But what I'm telling those people, the couple of times that I sat in on calls from the health department, when Mrs. Gonzalez, Kim Gonzalez, the head of the health department, broke down and cried because she was so afraid what was going to happen to our community. You sit in that seat and then you sit there and talk to me about what's right. You have rights, but we have responsibilities as well. And there's a couple of personal friends of mine that are struggling with the virus right now, and it's such a tragedy. Would I, could I, should I? Hindsight is 20/20, but until you're in that position, we'll talk.
I wish to thank all participants in being here this evening, and as they contemplate their closing statement, again, I would ask the audience to continue with your questions. We will send them to the candidates and post any responses received on our social media and website. And if you haven't visited the Chamber's new website, it's www.tlacechamber.org. As we close council segment, we would ask Councilperson Eli De Bono to give us his closing statement.
Let's see if I can find it.
Just so they're...
Yeah, I have.
You got it?
Yeah, you know, I don't have much of a closing statement. It's just in closing, I'd like to thank everyone for listening to all of the candidates tonight. Lee Phelan, Amy Navarrete, Bill Phillips, KCRT, and Tom Murphy especially does a tireless job. He does a great job at what he does. Everyone presented themselves very well. As a councilman, I will continue to work hard to make our city one of the most desirable cities to live, with continued marketing, tourism, and the progression of projects that stimulates our economy and helps revitalize some of the downtown business district. I will always be open to listen to issues and concerns from anyone in the community. I will continue to read and research ways to invite and promote Trinidad now and in the future. The decisions I make are based on what's best for the people of Trinidad. Anyone can sit in a chair and vote yes or no on agenda items, but it takes more courage for a person to base their decision on what's best for the city, not what's best for themselves. Trinidad is moving in a very positive direction, and I intend to do my part to keep our beautiful city the best kept secret in southern Colorado. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. De Bono. Madam Mayor Pro Tem.
I see the challenge of my next term is to continue improving the quality of life in Trinidad while supporting growth. It's a tricky situation, but I think people that move here because of our quality of life, and I don't want that to be diminished. In looking to the future, I'm excited. I want to tell you about several projects. I don't know if you've heard of them that are in the works for the city. Mr. Mayor mentioned the Riverwalk project. We're also going to do improvements to the Main Street exit into Trinidad. That's the exit coming into Main Street from the 400 block of West Main from Animal Street to I-25. We're proposing improvements to what we call the 5 Points area. It's a crucial ingress-egress to the city, and also it's going to be the main artery to the La Puerta area. It's going to be very important to sustaining growth in this community. We're going to work on installing a cover for the municipal pool, allowing year-round access, and I think that's important, because if we're going to call ourselves a recreational area, we need a year-round pool for people to use. The restoration of the Fox West Theater, that is a gem. As we peel off the layers of the Fox West Theater, it becomes more apparent to me that this is a 1 in a million building. It has to be restored into its original glory. The completion of the space to create building, that's essential for attracting more artists. We need the artist community in here. I mentioned the La Puerta project. The La Puerta project is moving along. The city contributed to that by getting grants that expanded the trunk line from downtown Trinidad to the sewer plant. Okay, and the Fisher's Peak State Park. Everybody's mentioned that. That is, it's unbelievable. Every time I look at that mountain and think that everybody is going to love that mountain as much as we all do. And even though the hospital addition wasn't really a city project, it adds to the quality of life of our community, and I really appreciate the administration of the hospital for having the foresight to do that. And last but definitely not least, I'm taking a personal note here. We have a new animal shelter, and there's been a lot of people that have worked on this shelter for 20 plus years. I personally worked on it for 5 or 6 years myself. And it's not only the emotional attachment I have to that project, it's a perfect example what a private-public partnership can do for this community. City's providing the facility, Noah's Ark is providing the volunteers and the staff. And the day that shelter opens is going to be one of the happiest days of my life. I know there's some people that don't believe they're not important to animal rights, but I think it contributes to the overall quality of life of our community. And just bear with me, I want to thank the Chamber, Mr. Phelan, Mr. Phillips, Mrs. Navarrete, thank you. Thank you for all who have come tonight. I want to thank my family. They picked up the slack for me at the house. Ed has been doing a lot of my work around the house. He's my counselor, he's my best buddy, he's my life partner, he's my business partner, and I want to thank you so much. And Kathleen, you're my biggest supporter 100% of the time. But I want to tell you one thing that doesn't really thrill the little cockles of my heart is the complacency, especially showing in this election. There's 3 seats open for council and only 3 people decided to turn in a petition. I mean, we're not giving the community a choice. I'm back here for 4 more years, whether you like it or not, and that's not right for you. I hope people start getting don't be complacent anymore. If this is kind of too demanding for your schedule, then go out and apply for a board or commission within the city. apply for a volunteer job at Noah's Ark. Get involved, because if anything is going to kill the progress in this community is apathy and complacency. I want you to vote, but please get involved. Thank you.
Thank you. So, I want to thank our contestants for their participation. Our next contestant is to represent the Honey School District, and as we change positions, we'll be taking a brief break.
At Philong, we pride ourselves on the best customer experience in parts, service, and sales.
I'm so happy that we were able to find the right car, and we were able to go through the process quickly and very easily.
Plus, we offer you the best brands: Ford, Chevy, Hyundai, Audi, Kia, Genesis, Lincoln, Toyota, Honda, and Mercedes-Benz.
And always the best deals. Experience why Colorado drives Philong.
Freedom isn't free. This time of year, give thanks and help our veterans.
Thank you for protecting our freedom.
Thank you for your sacrifices.
Gracias al apoyo que dan a nuestra comunidad.
Thank you for keeping us safe.
Our veterans, America's heroes. They fought for our country. Now many fight for their lives. Please donate today. Your gift will make a difference. Help us, help ours.
At Mount Carmel Veterans Service Center.
Lisa Camarillo here with Philong Toyota. Come sell me yours and I'll sell you mine. We want your trade. Plus, new Toyotas are arriving every day. Drive a brand new 2021 Toyota Camry, RAV4, or Tacoma with our one-pay lease offers. Just one payment of $15,000 for 36 months of worry-free driving.
Visit us today and get a cup of coffee on me, Lisa Camarillo.
If we don't have it, we'll get it. Experience why Colorado drives Philong.
The best pre-owned deals are happening now at Philong Ford of Raton. We have 1,200 pre-owned vehicles to choose from. Payments from just $199 a month, just $199. Plus our goal, 100% credit approval. And this month only, enjoy summer with the $29.95 oil change. Visit us today or online anytime at ratonford.com. Get small town service and big city selection. If we don't have it, we'll get it. Experience why New Mexico drives Philong.
At Philong, we pride ourselves on the best customer experience in parts, service, and sales.
I'm so happy that we were able to find the right car, and we were able to go through the process quickly and very easily.
Plus, we offer you the best brands: Ford, Chevy, Hyundai, Audi, Kia, Genesis, Lincoln, Toyota, Honda, and Mercedes-Benz.
And always the best deals. Experience why Colorado drives Philong.
Freedom isn't free. This time of year, give thanks and help our veterans.
Thank you for protecting our freedom.
Thank you for your sacrifices.
Gracias al apoyo que dan a nuestra comunidad.
Thank you for keeping us safe.
Our veterans, America's heroes. They fought for our country. Now many fight for their lives. Please donate today. Your gift will make a difference. Help us, help ours.
At Mount Carmel Veterans Service Center.
Lisa Camarillo here with Philong Toyota. Come sell me yours and I'll sell you mine. We want your trade. Plus, new Toyotas are arriving every day. Drive a brand new 2021 Toyota Camry, RAV4.
And we're back. Thanks everyone for that, and Soco Quick Clean for their sanitation job that they did up here on the stage. Before we move into the school districts, I just wanted to briefly cover some of the information from a chamber perspective as we viewed some of the answers from our candidates this evening. Understanding in June of this year, we looked at the state of Colorado revenues and noticed that in 2021, 26% less of the entities filed taxes in June this year compared to June last year, and therefore those business entities are permanently gone. I know a lot of people look, and there was discussion when it comes to revenues But I'm not understanding how governmental inflation, and when we talk about inflation, we just need to look at our food and our gasoline prices to understand where that direction is going. Government mandated wage increases, stimulus payments, and then, of course, the Colorado PTO rules and those sorts of items all create negative impacts on business. But since it drives revenue, because as your prices increases, taxes increases, and therefore government revenue increases, I don't know how you get government off of that sort of drug. But know and understand that the chamber is being the business consultant now that it should be. And we look to work with all of our government, whether it be state, county, or local. This evening, our next contestant is to represent the Honey School District, RE3 District 6. We have Mr. Jess Cannon, and the rest of the candidates have chosen not to show. Mr. Cannon, we appreciate you considering this opportunity as important for your constituents of the Honey School District. May we have your opening statement.
Thank you. Good evening, Los Angeles County. As he said, my name is Jess Cannon, and I would like to start off with quoting Benjamin Franklin. On education, all our lives depend, and few to that, too few, with care attained. I am running for Honey School Board as a father and a lifelong resident of Los Angeles County. I would like to play an active role in maintaining the integrity and academic standard that Honey School has always had. I have the privilege of attending Honey and from kindergarten through graduation. I want to allow the children of this district to have the same benefits and opportunities that I had as a student of Honey High School. I am concerned with a few things. We have had a few long-term families that have attended Honey for generations that have moved their kids from the school district to other schools. I think we need to ask why these parents are willing to drive further distances and make longer days for themselves and their children. What benefits are these other schools offering that Honey is not? Do parents and students feel like the school is meeting their needs? If so, what needs need to be fixed or improved? I would like to find out, and if there's a problem, I would like to be part of the solution. I believe in addition to academic studies, basic life skills should also be offered to students. A lot of kids have lost the opportunity to learn these skills, and I feel the options should be available to these who want to learn. Cooking, cleaning, sewing, balancing a simple checkbook, skills that they need for life. These skills have been replaced by technology, which not necessarily a bad thing, but it has dumbed us down as a society, because now we can rely on that phone or that computer to do everything for us. There is no substitute for a solid foundation in all areas. I will strive to ensure history is taught in its entirety and the valuable lessons it offers to continue to be present. History must not be forgotten, lest we repeat its mistakes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cannon. And while we ask these questions to you, I hope our audience takes notes and applies the same standard to pretty much any school candidate that's running. I know Ms. Briego was talking about the affirmation of the 3 city council, but there's a lot of the school boards that have filled those positions basically the same way. And it will not get better without your participation. And so our first question of the evening is, what is the role of the school board?
I believe the role of the the school board is to help administer the funds of the school, help direct the building, the infrastructure, the basic education of the children. The school board is to help with, like, for example, Honey just built a new structure out there for the FFA. And it is a VOAG building, it is an awesome building, and that is something that the council, the school board, had to make decisions on how they were going to spend that money, where they were going to get that money from. So that is what I believe it is.
What should a graduate in our district leave our schools knowing?
I think a graduate leaving our schools should have the best education that they can get from this local community. They also need, like I said, these life skills that have been forgotten because of technology. You know, back in the day, they used to do home ec, and that taught you how to sew, how to clean, how to balance your checkbook. Instead of just punching it into a computer, you actually wrote down in the ledger and you could track your money. You know, now you just look at the screen and say, oh, I've got this much money in my checking account, I'm going to go buy this thing. Well, that doesn't tell you that you already spent that money on paying this bill, so now you're going to be negative. Those are crucial skills. That foundation is what we need to offer these kids in order to grow to the potential that they can have.
What relationship should exist between the superintendent and the school board?
I think there should be a good, healthy relationship between the superintendent and the school board. But from what I understand, the school board is who runs the school, and the principal is who directs the children and the teachers. And I'm fairly new to this, so I'm learning, and if that is not correct, I apologize. Like I said, I'm going to do my best to learn and to figure out exactly how everything works so that I can make the best informed decisions that I can.
So how important is it for board members to actively seek community opinion and represent the constituents?
Well, I think that is very important because the board members are who direct the school. So they need to know where the community wants the school to go as well. So when they were building the VOAG, they had to get opinions from the community on what exactly they wanted it for and how they wanted it, or did they want to spend that money on a different part of the school. So having those needs from the community are very important in running the school.
Do you believe parents have first rights to what their children are learning and should have access to any curriculum or standard taught?
Yes. As a father with a student in school, I want to be in control of what my child is learning. Because if I don't agree with what they are being taught, I need to step up and do what I am doing and get on the councils, the boards, the different programs that these schools offer, so I can have a voice and say what I want my children to be learning. And furthermore, it is very important for that child to be learning stuff like that at home as well, not just from the school. You need to be a parent and active in your child's education.
Now, I got a kind of pointed question to ask you. Do you believe schools should teach social justice to its students?
Well, I think social justice is important, but, well, no, that is a tough question there, actually. That is a very tough question, because that falls also under father and their child's education, or not just even a father, but a mother, a parent's education with their child. And that is getting into a very deep conversation, and I don't know, I honestly don't know how to answer that, truthfully. I mean, it is a very pointed question, but my belief is I like the conservative side of things more than the social. Yeah. I don't know.
And I don't know whether left or right really comes into that. I think justice, from a chamber perspective, justice should be taught. But you always have civic courses covering the ebb and flow of different topics. But absolutely. So thank you for your time. I haven't received anything from the audience as questions coming through. Can we have your closing statement?
Yes. Like I stated earlier, I am new to this. So I am here to learn, to grow, to do what it takes to make the right decision. And I want to make the right decision, not the popular decision. Because I don't believe that the popular decision is always the best decision for the situation. And I know that it's not a very popular way of thinking, because everybody wants their way, not what is necessarily the right way. So I am grateful to the constitutional republic that affords me the opportunity to run for this position and the potential to make a positive difference in our community. A solid foundation in education opens the doors for the future learning of the great country we all call home. I would like to close with this quote from John Adams. It should be your care, therefore and mine, to elevate the mind of our children and exalt their courage, to accelerate and admire and administer their industry and achievement. I would like to thank the council, the Chamber of Commerce, for putting this event on. It has been a very unique experience, and I'm glad I've got to do it, and I will learn from this going forward. And please remember to vote for Jess Cannon for Holy School Board. Thank you.
Thank you, Jess. Special thanks to Trinidad Times Television, KCRT. In closing this evening's event, I want to share a brief comment. I was searching the internet a few weeks back when I came across a unique statement, one that made me sort of stop and really think. And I'd like you to take a moment and as I share it with you, I understand in some cases it might seem kind of heavy, but I want you to think about it. For normally I would have dismissed such data as hyperbolical, but found this one statement was just so profound, and in the moment of reality, the statement just seemed to come together. That in a time where a National School Board Association believes that they can go to the national police to report average citizens complaining about the local education of their children and identify them as domestic terrorists. And what was worse was the national police accepting that mission to investigate, interrogate, and intimidate those local citizens. When unconstitutional mandates have singled out our fellow citizens, not because of race or religion, but but of a vaccination status, denying them employment and substance, and perhaps, just perhaps, in the very near future, the mob will find a need to maybe round up those people, those pesky violators, and perhaps maybe tuck them away into special places, secure from the public. And people dressed in black, not brown shirts, are allowed to freely riot and destroy, even get bailed out by political parties for carrying their message and vilifying a particular section of citizens because they vote or have a different religion than they do. For in today's world, it seems you better understand, it's party over people. So what did I read online? It was just a simple statement, and it went as follows, and I quote, "If you ever wondered whether you would have complied during 1930s Germany, now you know." Now you know, ladies and gentlemen, elections have consequences. It's your right and your decision, and to exercise it wisely. So until next time, until then, have a great evening, and thank you. God bless.